in, there's a few remnants on the ceiling of what was the original Paramount Theater. Fulton basically selling hard time. The Albee Square, this is Albee Square, and the Albee Square Theater essentially was here. It was empty for a very long time, and they built this awful mall. It's not called the Gallery at Metrotech. For years, they just had a big ASM up on the top, which stood for Albee Square Mall. I always thought it stood for Abandoned Shopping Mall, because basically it didn't work at all. One of the things about shopping malls is they need to have an anchor, and there's a number of in any commercial situation, there is a certain logic to commercial space that is not necessarily logical to you, but works as well. For instance, in every supermarket in the country, the bread and the milk were the furthest distance from the front door, because that's what you go for the most. And on the way, you'll buy a bag of Doritos, and you'll buy some other crap you don't need, and you'll walk out with an armload of shit, which is exactly what they want. If you go into Bloomingdale's in Manhattan, they call the people who shop their Saturday generation. If you get into that building, you're totally lost, and you wander around forever trying to find your way out. Not because you spend money, and that's exactly what they want. In most malls, in every successful mall, what makes them work is they put the biggest stores at the end. Because the biggest stores are the best known, they do the most advertised, and they have the best bargains. And the space in between is filled with lots of other stuff that you wouldn't necessarily go there for. You know, Hallmark card stores and corn dog shops, and all the crap that falls in between. And there could be hundreds of other stores in between. Have you ever seen malls where the end store, the anchor store, dies? The entire arm of the mall has died. Well, they built it at the very beginning without an anchor. You basically come in at this side, which is fine, but at the very end of the complex is not a big store, but kind of like a food court. Kind of. It's lousy. Walk down. So there is no end logic. The other problem is you walk into this building, you can't actually see where you're going, which is strange. And the third thing that makes this not work at all is that in most malls, most newer malls in the country, they go out of their way to make the fronts of their stores articulated so that you have a view into the store. You catch the edge of a display window. If you're walking along a line of sheer glass, you can't see in because you see mostly reflections. And basically, you walk into this mall, you can look down the entire length of the mall, and there's nothing to look at. You can't even see a sign because all the signs are against the wall you're walking along. So there's really no way to see the stores. You can't really see where you're going, and there's no reason to go down to the end. And most big complexes, you go down to the end. You generally make your turnaround in multi-level malls in the big stores. You hit their escalators, you go up and down, and come back around, and there's a loop you do. In most malls in the country, there are no windows, there are no clocks. They do that at Las Vegas, just for reasons to keep you inside until you're totally broke and dying, and you have to crawl your way out. The malls do the same thing, and you basically, if you go to a big mall, ones that have 4 anchor stores, for instance, you kind of wander around until you find where you came in. Because you don't know where that is, but you basically keep going until you find it, and that's exactly what they want you to do. You basically pass by everything in the process. IKEA, if you've ever been to IKEA, is kind of the ultimate store, because in IKEA, if you stay to the right, you walk by every single display case in the whole damn building. Right? It's brilliant. And there are people who go there and just wander through the building endlessly on weekends because it's entertainment. There's lots to see. It's like a bazaar. If you go to the left, there are shortcuts. They're kind of confusing, but you can get there. But it's laid out, so you basically follow your way to the right. For whatever reason, in North America, when people walk into a space, they basically go to the right. And ask me why would they do. They capitalize on that and create a maze-like arrangement that makes you stop and look at everything in the store. So this essentially, I don't know who laid it out. I don't know what the idea was, but again, it's competing with a lot of other stores on the street. One of the most important things in retailing is if you are not visible, nobody comes to find you. So second-story stores usually don't do very well. If there aren't, there are very few here. But because basically they're invisible from the street. On that side of the street especially, you really can't see them. Same thing in here. When you walk inside, you see basically absolutely nothing. Let's just take a walk through.